I want to ask you about disagree and commit. It's a concept of not agreeing with the direction or order, but executing it anyway. Amazon has made it famous. I think it started with Andrew Grove from Intel. Can you talk about an instance or two when you or people you were leading didn't agree with an order, but you needed to move forward anyway?
So disagree and commit, I would submit, is a healthy process that leads to better decisions and better orders. I call it welcoming the debate. And when I say welcoming, I mean that sincerely. This is because of many of the best ideas that come to us are bottom up. And then it's the responsibility of the decision maker to choose from among those best ideas and then follow through on the execution, right? That's the role of the leader. So the challenge becomes how you get to the best decisions with the best information within the time available. Now, you asked about some tenets, and these are tenets of leadership. I think you called them tactics at one point, that have worked well for me. So one concept, feedback and debate. I just hit that, right? Welcoming the debate. Next, listening, right? Listening to your people. Empathy goes with that because it's what they say and how they say it, the conviction with which they offer it. Setting forums that are open, transparent, and inclusive. And, from my perspective, large group, right? Another facet of that is doing it in person because so much communication is not by way of email, right? It's not by way of voice. It is in person, right? Which shows commitment and allows you to read body language. So much communication is body language. And then ultimately it does come down about making the decision, usually without the full information, no matter what. And making the decision in a timely way. Okay. And so disagree and commit, I think, describes the bottom up process whereby good decisions are rendered. Okay. And so I'll give you an example of how that manifests just in my last job. So as I served as the AFRICOM Director of Strategy, Engagements, and Programs, one of our roles was to produce strategies and plans for the command, right? Dealing with the continent of Africa. Now, anytime that you're developing a strategy or plan, if everyone agrees with it, it just becomes a statement of values. What I mean is there's always hard choices here as we look at our ways and means, the way we array them to achieve our assigned ends. All right. And so every decision involves a trade-off. We usually provide a range of options to the commander, and each of those options has pros and cons. And at the personal level, each of those options has proponents and elicits disagreement. So ultimately, within your disagree and commit, there's always a subset of your people who vehemently disagree, but ultimately must commit. Okay. And then as we go forward with these, some things that I learned over time. One, anytime we're embarking on a new strategy or plan, have a shaping session, a framing session with the staff, right? That one is actually better done small group. It's better done with a whiteboard, and it's better done where ideas compete rather than positions or personalities. Get them on the board, and the goal would be to frame, but not decide how we should proceed. Okay. There's a quote that I'm fond of by George S. Patton Jr., right? And it's never tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. What I mean by that is once you've framed how to proceed, set some left and right limits, then turn it over to your people, right? The group that you lead, because that will allow them to work through and frankly render better options, which will ultimately lead to a better solution. Then the next step is to do frequent revisits, right? Rather than one reveal at the end of all this, to do frequent revisits along the way, right? To sharpen everyone's thinking and possibly call out some options that are, not feasible, right? Not practicable within available resources, or simply that just don't fit the task. So frequent revisits. The next step is to make a choice and explain why you made it, because every decision-making process is also a learning opportunity. Finally, own the outcomes. What I mean by that is, as the leader, own the outcomes, all right? And so there's a well-coined phrase that an Air Force senior leader used for this, and that's sharing success and owning failure. And as leaders, as we've gone through that process, as we've worked through the healthy process of disagree and commit, And then if we share the success and own the failure, whichever or both that attend that decision, our people will keep coming back to us. And so I would submit to you that disagree and commit should be the rule, not the exception. And it's all in how we embrace it, Don.
You know, I just listening to you, I'm just blown away by how thoughtful you are, but the other military leaders who I've interviewed and how misportrayed you are in movies. And it's got to be so frustrating because, you know, from the outside, having never served, it's just, you know, this is your order and it's shoved down your throat. And everybody I've interviewed on this show is really thoughtful, talks about empathy, talks about listening, talks about separating the idea from the individual and the ego. And it's just really impressive. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. The stereotypes don't serve us well, right?
Oh, no, not at all. No, it's frustrating.
Thanks for helping us kind of get below the stereotypes.